It's February, time for Terri's top picks. Oh my goodness, another great offering coming up. Keep reading. Hi, Terri Gillespie here, and welcome to my February top picks. Great books. Publishers, kudos. Okay, let's start with the first book, and this is my lead book because I am interviewing Becca Kinzer, and this is her third book, and I've been watching her writing career since her first book, Dear Henry, Love Edith. And I love Becca's stories because they are funny. I mean, laugh out loud funny, but she's not afraid to dig into really deep subjects. Now, in this book, this one, she goes to a new level of digging into some important topics. It was especially meaningful to me, and when you watch the interview, you'll see why. Okay, so First Love, Second Draft, and this releases April 15th. So that means, I know this is early in the game, but it really helps authors if you pre-order. And a lot of times the publishers will have different incentives when you pre-order. So I'll have the link down below in the description section. So just really encourage you to do that. And plus it really helps authors, especially the more newer authors that are out there. It really does help. So this is a women's contemporary and a Christian romance. And it's, like I said, it's really unique. I don't want to give anything away. I will a little bit in the interview, so you'll have to watch it. It'll be, you can start watching it after March 4th. Plus, she'll have a giveaway as well. So if you haven't heard of Becca, here is a little about her. She lives in Springfield, Illinois, where she works as a critical care nurse. When she's not taking care of sick patients or reminding her husband and 2 kids that frozen chicken nuggets is a gourmet meal, she enjoys making up lighthearted stories with serious laughs. Okay. And just a real brief, I love this cover, okay? And doesn't the guy look like Chris Evans? Kind of reminds me of Chris Evans when he has a beard. Anyway, so here's a little bit about the story. She's a romance writer burned out on love. He's her famous baseball star ex-husband. The last man she wants to be forced to work with is the one who broke her heart. All right. This one has a unique first chapter. You can see, I'll read the whole thing. October 1st headlines. Mariners continue wild ride into postseason playoffs. Seattle manager shakes up roster, shocks fans. Win big or go home? Parker goes home. No comment. Noel Parker, pitcher for the Seattle Mariners. Great beginning. All right, next book, Elizabeth Goddard's. She's starting a new series, the Hidden Bay series, and this is called Storm Warning. Now, probably familiar with Elizabeth Goddard, but she writes fantastic series with characters that she'll thread through all of the books in the series, which is kind of cool. Yet you can still read them as standalones. And this book, I love storms. I love the coast and ocean stories. So she just ticked off a lot of my boxes. So this released a couple weeks ago, and it is published by Revell. Okay, so Elizabeth is a USA Today best-selling and Christie Award-winning author of more than 60 novels, including Cold Light of Day and Shadows at Dusk, as well as the Rocky Mountain Courage and Uncommon Justice series. Her books have sold more than 1.5 million copies. She is a Carol Award and Reader's Choice Award winner and a Daphne du Maurier Award and Holt Medallion finalist. When she's not writing, she loves spending time with her family, traveling to find inspiration for her next book, and serving with her husband in ministry. All right, so here is a summary of the book. Haunted by a past she can't remember, Remy Grant takes a job at an isolated storm-watching lodge on the rocky Washington coast. Former military pilot Hawk Beckett arrives to clear his head after a personal mission cost him his job. But danger lurks at the lodge, and the final and fiercest storm has yet to come. Are there really? I'll have to do some research. Or if you've heard of it, write a comment down below. And the descriptions are down below in the comment section. But apparently, she's talking about lodges where they have like this huge window where you can sit and watch storms roll in off the ocean. I would love that. I mean, absolutely love that. So there really is such a thing. Might have to schlep out there. Okay, I'm not going to read the prologue only because it doesn't include the main character. So, Chapter 1. Time was short, and Paco was missing. The storm system of the decade bore down on the Washington coast, and Remy Grant was right in its path on the beach, battered by waves during what was projected to be a dramatic king tide. My daughter had a Chihuahua named Paco, but it's not a Chihuahua. Okay. Dawn of Grace by Jill Eileen Smith. Now, I interviewed Jill, and I'll put the link in the description section. She is a sweetie pie, and I've known her for years, since before her very first book was published. So it's been a while because she's published a lot of books. Now, Jill writes biblical fiction, and prior to this book, it always centered on the stories in the Old Testament, or the Old Covenant, or the Tanakh, if you will. But this is her first foray into the New Testament, the New Covenant, or the Brit Hadashah. And it's the story of Mary Magdalene. Now, there are a lot of books about Mary Magdalene, and then with the Chosen series, if you're a fan of that, Mary is very prominent in that series. But what I love about this book is it touched on Mary's backstory in the Chosen, but Jill actually goes deeper into her backstory, and it's just a real fresh point of view, and very much takes off that iconic um, badge and really treats her as a woman who is living through extraordinary times. So I really enjoyed it. So if you're not familiar with Jill, Jill is the best-selling and award-winning author of the biblical fiction series The Wives of King David, The Wives of the Patriarchs, Daughters of the Promised Land, as well as The Heart of a King, Star of Persia, Esther's Story, Miriam's Song, The Prince and the Prodigal, Daughter of Eden, and The Ark and the Dove, which was like an epic. It was incredible. Her research has taken her from the Bible to Israel, and she particularly enjoys learning how women lived in biblical times. Now, I hate to say this, but I'm kind of a biblical fiction snob. My husband and I have been a part of the Messianic Jewish community for over 25 years. And also I was one of the editors for the Tree of Life version of the Bible, and, worked with like 60 biblical scholars. So having an understanding of the culture and context of the Bible is so important. So as a result, I tend to be very picky about what biblical fiction books I read, and there's a very short list, and Jill is on that list. So that gives you some comfort if you're not familiar, if you're a new reader of biblical fiction. So here is a summary. All Mary has ever known is fear and loss until she encounters a rabbi different than all the others. One touch from Jesus, and she is never the same. Her new mission in life is to serve the one who set her free. But when the unthinkable happens, she must fight not to descend into darkness once again. So here is the prologue. This is AD 21 or 21 AD. It's this way, Mary. Come on. Susanna shouted above the noise of the wind whipping off the lake. Her long legs had already carried her several paces ahead of me. I couldn't keep up with her, with the storm coming, no matter how hard I tried. All right, I've been looking forward to this one. Sarah Sundin, Midnight on the Scottish Shores. Now, I am a fan of Sarah Sundin, but I have to say this is probably one of my most favorite of Sarah's books. And I did interview her, so I'll have the link in the description section so you can get some insider info on Sarah. Now, this released at the beginning of February, and it's published by Revell, and it's considered Christian historical, Christian romance, and World War II historical. Now, if you're not familiar with Sarah, here's a little bit about her. She is a best-selling author of When Twilight Breaks, Until Leaves Fall in Paris, The Sound of Light, Embers in the London Sky, and the popular World War II series Sunrise at Normandy, among others. She is a Christie Award winner and a Carol Award winner, and her novels have received star reviews from Booklist, Library Journal, and Publishers Weekly. Sarah lives in Southern California. I did say Revell, didn't I? Published by Revell. All right. So here's a summary of this book. Desperate to escape occupied Netherlands in 1941, Scylla van der Zee agrees to become a spy in Britain. Her plans to betray the Germans and work for the Allied cause are derailed when a suspicious Scottish lieutenant finds her on the shores of his home. Yeah. All right. Here is, and of course she's pretty good about putting maps on here, which is handy. All right. Chapter 1, Amsterdam, the Netherlands, Tuesday, February 11th, 1941. When Scylla van der Zee volunteered to aid the resistance by infiltrating the Dutch Nazis, she never imagined she'd be swept up in a mob set on attacking her friends. You see that type of conflict? That goes through the whole book. It's so powerful. All right. Here's our next book by Toni, Shiloh, The Nature of Love, and this is the third and final book in the Love in the Spotlight series. And I have to say this is her best of the series. Now, I also interviewed Toni, so her interview will be down in the description section as well, and she's a cutie pie and a talented writer. So I love Toni's fresh point of view that has been really needed in the Christian publishing world. So I think you'll love her too. So if you don't know her, here's a little bit about Toni. She's a wife, a mom, and an award-winning Christian contemporary romance author. Her novel, In Search of a Prince, won the first ever Christie Amplify Award. It has also been praised by Oprah Daily, Pop Sugar, Library Journal, and Booklist, and is a Parable bestseller. Her books have won the Christie Award and Selah Award and have been finalists for the Carroll Award and the Holt Medallion. Okay, so this was published by Bethany House and released on at the beginning of February, so you can order it, and there'll be a link in the description section. Okay, here's a little bit about the book. Orthopedic surgeon Erica Kennedy and wildlife conservationist Christian Gamble form a tentative friendship. But when Erica becomes guardian to her two nieces, Chris helps her pick up the pieces. But as life keeps throwing punches, finding their way to a lasting love may be the biggest challenge they've ever faced. So lots of cute stories about some of the animals that Chris rescues. So it's fun. All right, chapter 1. Here we go. Drilling a hole in the middle of a person's femur was my least favorite thing to do. Not because I wasn't capable. Technology had made a way for me to drill a precise hole exactly where I needed to insert a metal rod and screws to repair the mid-shaft femoral break. However, I couldn't do anything to stop the intense pain this sweet woman would feel when she woke up. A broken femur was one of the hardest injuries to overcome. Couple that with the woman's occupation, an Olympic ski jumper, and she'd have an uphill battle. It says great character development. You have somebody who is brilliant at what they do and compassionate, which surgeons aren't always known to be compassionate. Final book. Welcome to the Honey Bee and Bee by Melody Carlson. Love Melody. I love her humor. I love her ability to address interesting topics that aren't typical, but are relevant to women, and I love her romances as well. So this will release next week on March 4th, but still pre-order. And I'll have a link in the description section because once again, there could be giveaways, there could be special incentives, and it really helps the authors. So there you go. It's Revell has published this. It's considered Christian romance. I would also call it women's contemporary as well, because it does deal with contemporary issues that women might face. So here's a little bit about Melody. She is an award-winning author of more than 250 books with sales of more than 7.5 million, including many best-selling Christian novellas, young adult titles, and contemporary romances. She received a Romantic Times Career Achievement Award. Her novel, All Summer Long, has been made into a Hallmark movie, and the movie based on her novel, The Happy Camper. I love that book. Premiered on Up TV in 2023. She and her husband live in Central Oregon. This book is powerful. I've loved all of her books, and I really love that Happy Camper. This book just got me and has stuck inside me. Let me read a little bit about the book. With a moody teenager in tow, Jewel McCary returns to the family farm to help her aging parents. Turning the old farmhouse into a charming B&B seems like a lot of fun and a good solution to looming money problems. But juggling her dad's dementia, an old flame, and the oh-so-helpful neighbors is not exactly what she had in mind when she uprooted her life. Now, it doesn't include it in this brief synopsis, but really the point of view comes in both Jewel and her mother, Honey, hence the Honey B&B. And then a couple of surprise point of views that are kind of interjected into the story. But Honey's story, Honey's point of view is powerful, informative, heartbreaking sometimes, uplifting and encouraging sometimes. And I just encourage people, especially those of us who have aging parents, and it's just really good. I hope somebody makes this into a movie. I think it's important. So the first chapter is Honey, Jewel's mother's point of view. And it just gives you a little insight into the character and also that great voice that Melody has in her writing. Chapter 1, Honey's point of view. Honey McCary suppressed the urge to firmly lower the cast iron skillet directly onto her husband's slightly balding noggin. Instead, she blew out the breath she'd been holding during her attempt to count to 10, then slowly turned away, reminding herself for the 100th time, CT can't help it. She set the heavy pan back on the stove and opened the upper cabinet, removing the overly familiar jars of peanut butter and honey, Jif Extra Crunchy, and McCary's homegrown honey, CT's favorite go-to sandwich. Well, unless he changed his mind midstream, like he done just now. Feel it? Ah, really good. Really good. Okay, that's the books for this month. I hope that there's one or two or maybe all of these books can be in your TBR, your to be read pile. And thank you to the publishers for allowing me to read these advanced copies and get the word out on these great books. So that's it for this month. Until next month, God bless and keep reading. Oh, and don't forget, Becca Kinzer interviews will be ready for your viewing and reading pleasure March 4th. Yes? No, March 5th, Wednesday, March 5th. Okay, there you go. Keep reading. See you later.